Welcome to this week's edition of CUTV Newscenter. I'm Danny Beck.
And I'm Ryan Kaufman. In the last month, the United States has been plagued by a string of terror attacks from coast to coast.
These horrific events began October 1st at a country music concert in Las Vegas, where 58 innocent people were gunned down by a man in a hotel room perched above the Las Vegas Strip.
The next terror attack occurred on October 31st when an alleged ISIS sworn operative drove a heavy-duty construction truck down a bike path and killed 8 citizens. This is also the largest terror attack in New York City since September 11th.
And finally, on November 5th, to a small community in rural Texas, where a local man entered a church and gunned down 26 people while wounding at least 20 more.
In the last month, just over 90 people have perished due to domestic terrorism, while over 100 citizens were injured.
While the nation is mourning, President Trump has been very vocal on Twitter regarding the attacks, most notably his tweet saying that the New York City attacker should receive the death penalty.
Some critics have said that the attacker will not receive a fair trial after the president, quote, tainted the jury pool with his statement.
In other news, California has a new mayor. Republican candidate Frank Stetter was elected mayor after edging out his opponent, Rosemary Capana, by less than 100 votes. Stetter has close ties to CalU as he was appointed the interim director of CalU bands in 2015 before taking over as the director soon after. Along with his role in the band, Stetter is also a professor in the Department of Music on campus. Yet another position up for grabs across the state was that of Justice of the Supreme Court, which was won by Republican candidate Sally Mundy. With the victory, Mundy retains her spot in Pennsylvania's highest court, securing her victory over her opponent and former Pittsburgh Steeler, Dwayne Woodruff. 100,000 Pennsylvania American water customers can drink their water again, as a boil water advisory was lifted Wednesday afternoon. The advisory was first put out in parts of Allegheny and Washington counties on Monday after water samples came back cloudy, which would create a favorable environment for waterborne bacteria and viruses. Water buffaloes were set up across southwestern PA in response to the advisory as a precaution for the residents in the affected area. The company first discovered the problem early on Monday morning with one of the 8 primary filters and attempted to quickly resolve the issue. With the affected filter replaced, the water plant has resumed normal operations, and customers of Pennsylvania American Water can drain their bathtubs.
Chances are earlier this summer you heard the news that California borough was flooded with Roma or Gypsy asylum seekers. The story made international news as the town was up in arms at the borough council meeting in July. Residents at the meeting expressed their displeasure about the asylum seekers because of their backward way of life. Fast forward to today, and of the 32 properties rented to the Gypsies and owned by Vito Dentino, only about 2 of them are currently occupied, and now Dentino is out hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Several dozen Roma, more commonly known as Gypsies, have been settled in California, Pennsylvania by the federal government. The Roma are seeking asylum, saying they suffered racism in their native Romania. The integration is not going well. According to residents, the Roma have little regard either for the law or public decency. Citizens say they defecate in public, chop the heads off chickens, leave trash everywhere, and more.
If you live in the California borough or have attended CalU, then you know the yellow and black Realtor sign and name, Vito Dentino. But earlier this year, his name became synonymous with what seemed like the next plague, Roma Gypsies. I had the chance to sit down with Mr. Dentino, now that the Gypsies are gone, to see how he views the situation in my exclusive interview. Do you regret at all?
Yeah. From a business standpoint, very much regret it because I had clients that rented to them that lost money. I have properties that I rented to them, my own properties, that they didn't pay the rent, and I paid utilities for a number of people, plus repairs that have to be done, and I could have rented to someone else that would have been a good tenant, and they'd still be there.
So what would you say, or if you can tell me, what does this run you, price-wise?
I really don't have a number, and I didn't sit down and add up all the utilities and all the people that owed rent. And again, if they weren't in bond here, I probably would have rented a lot of them out to students that are coming back in over the summer and in the spring. So we're out all that rent for a whole year.
What would you say to the town folk right now who were against them?
Right now, I'd say they were right. I actually was an advocate. I said, listen, our grandparents came here from Italy or Irish people. They were all sort of looked down upon, when they came here, and they all worked hard and did things. Give these people a chance. They came here just like our things, that they were immigrating to our country for a better life. And I said, at least give them a chance. 5 months later, I was wrong, but I have a conscience. Okay, I gave them a chance.
For CUTV Newscenter, I'm Ryan Kaufman. We now have some breaking news. A man is now in custody at this hour after making threats on Facebook about shooting teachers at the Ringgold School District. The suspect said, "Shoot them and start over, and guns don't kill people, I kill people." The man is now charged with 1 count of terroristic threats with the intent to terrorize another. Now to an update on that very school district. 7 a.m. this morning marked 22 days without class in the Ringgold School District because of a teacher's strike that began on October 18th. Yesterday, November 8th, marked the 6th time the school board and the Teachers Association met to try and end the prolonged strike. Since the last news broadcast, 2 weeks ago, the two sides have made progress by moving somewhat closer to each other. The school district is proposing a 3.1% increase in salary, while the association is asking for a 4.35% increase. To put this in money terms, here is a graphic that the school district supplied in a press release yesterday. You can see that right now, as it stands between the two sides, this year, they're separated by an 80% difference right now, from $379,000 for the district all the way to the association's offer of $685,000. Now, if you look down the side of it, you can see that varies quite a lot through the years. Now, the association posted on their Facebook page as well that the district isn't exactly telling the truth here, so we don't exactly have what the two sides have come to agreement on. We're still working on that side of the story. The next bargaining session is planned for November 13th and 21st, but tonight at 6 p.m., the association will be holding a town hall meeting to field questions from the public. If the two sides cannot come to an agreement before November 21st, the teachers will be forced to call off the strike and go back to work due to Pennsylvania Act 88, but will be right back out of class 2 days later thanks to Thanksgiving break.
The Brownsville McDonald's is getting a much-needed facelift, and McDonald's department manager Anathy Maddie gave CUTV an inside scoop about what is changing with the frying franchise.
He is renovating the dining room. The dining room is going to get a more contemporary look to it. It is going to get an additional 20 seating, and it is going to get that more modernized feel. Also with the dining room, we are going to get 2 brand new kiosks with self-ordering points and things like that. We are putting in also a dual lane drive-thru with the 2 lanes similar to what the Bell Vernon store already has. No crew at this time is losing hours. We are constantly working. We have 5 other restaurants that the crew are going to. Also, once the remodel is done, there are going to be 2 new positions added to create hospitality touch points. So we are looking for part-time jobs, and we are constantly recruiting at CalU as well. So if anybody is looking for a part-time job, feel free to give me a call.
For CUTV Newscenter, I am Danny Beck.
Danny, we ventured out earlier this week to ask some questions to some students on campus.
We definitely did, and I think they were pretty pertinent questions. I mean, it's the sign of the times, obviously now
Right.
with going into Thanksgiving. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to hear what everybody really came up with.
For you at home, the question was actually, is it too early for Christmas music or not? And one that won't make the cut on here, but was, what's your favorite song?
Yeah, and I have a long list of favorite songs. I can't even think of a favorite song right now at the moment.
No.
But I just like Christmas music in general. I like the sound of it, the festive spirit that it brings. Honestly,
I'll have to admit, I have it on my radio right now.
Solid.
In my car.
Solid. That's good. That's good stuff. After we roll this festive video, we have your forecast from the CalU Weather Center. Boy, stay tuned.
And is it too early for Christmas music in your opinion?
Absolutely. Like, Thanksgiving hasn't even happened yet. Christmas music should happen during Black Friday so everyone can be cheery and while they're pushing each other to get their stuff.
I think it is. I think mid-November would be the better time to slowly let it trickle into the radio station.
No, it is never too early for Christmas music. I love it. It makes me so happy and joyous inside. And all my friends are like, well, it's too early. And I'm like, if there were Thanksgiving music, I'd listen to it. But there isn't. Therefore, we have to skip to Christmas.
Vulcan football is back. August 31st versus Ohio Dominican. September 9th versus Cheney. September 16th at Millersville. September 23rd versus Seton Hill. September 30th at Slippery Rock. October 14th versus Clarion. October 21st at Gannon. October 28th versus Mercyhurst. November 4th at Edinboro. November 11th at East Stroudsburg. Catch all the action live with your home of the Vulcans. CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube and radio on 91.9 FM WCAL.
Dylan, what's wrong, man? I just don't know how my family back home in Buchanan, West Virginia can watch our stuff up here.
They can follow us on Twitter or they can like us on Facebook.
That's awesome. What about our sports? How can they watch that?
They could watch it live right on our YouTube channel.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Do you want information on the 2017 Vulcan football team? Look no further than the Gary Dunn Show.
I was really proud of our efforts, especially from our senior class that had been through a lot, and for those guys to walk out of here with the PSAC championship.
Coach looks back on last week's game and looks ahead to the upcoming opponent.
You know, we're really starting over and trying to build that foundation for the 2017 season.
Don't miss Vulcan highlights, PSAC standings, schedules, and much, much more.
Save preset 1 for Cal U's best music. More music in the car, more music in the door, more music everywhere. This is 91.9 WCAL Power 92. The home of the Vulcan Nation, playing Cal U's best music. 91.9 WCAL. WCAL Power 92.
How's it going, CalU? Student meteorologist Alex McAvoy here in the CalU Meteorology Studio. And I'll be giving a forecast for the end of this week, this weekend, and the start of next week as well. Taking a look at today's high and low, we see about 53 for the high, 25 for the low. It'll get pretty low overnight tonight. 52, 34 is the averages. Record high is 72 and record low is 18. We won't get quite to the record low, but we will be within a few degrees of that actually tonight. So taking a look at the current temperatures around the United States, we see mid-40s to upper 40s around the Midwest to East Coast, 82 down in Miami, 19 up in Minneapolis, 50 in Dallas, Texas, 76 in Phoenix, and over on the West Coast, 62 degrees in San Francisco. Now there's not too much happening across the United States weather-wise other than down in the southeast here mostly. Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina are being affected by a small thunderstorm system. Michigan's seeing a little bit of a mix of sleet, snow, hail. Not hail, but snow and rain. I mean, Northwest is seeing some snow and rain as well. Now we go on our AccuWeather feature graphics. We see the dry warm air coming up from the southeast is keeping us quite warm for today in the 50s. But as the cold air makes its way down from the north and the Midwest, we'll see temperatures drop to about 30 degrees for a high tomorrow. So pretty cold. And then overnight tonight, here's the really cold temperatures approaching record lows up just north of where we are. We could see temperatures drop to about 18, maybe 15 degrees in some spots. But most of these areas might see record lows for tonight and into tomorrow morning. So here's for Friday now. Tomorrow, we see that cold air coming down, spinning down from the north. And that's really going to affect us with the wind chill factor. So the wind chills could possibly be between 10 to 20 degrees in some spots. Most spots would be between 20 and 30 degrees, it'll feel like. So the real feel temperatures here would be about 0 to 10 up in the New York and Pennsylvania border. So pretty cold on top. So the wind is going to make it pretty cold on top of the fact that it's already going to be cold in general tomorrow. So now we'll go on to our 7-day forecast. Like I said, tomorrow 32 degrees, 18 for a low. That'll be happening this morning, early tomorrow morning. Saturday and Sunday, 45 and 50 respectively. Pretty nice weekend for us here in California. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's where we start to see some rain for the start of next week. Thursday, it'll be partly cloudy for next week and ending off the week on a good note. I'm student meteorologist Alex McAvoy. Now back to Danny at the desk.
Danny, who opened up the freezer?
Yeah, I just want to wear shorts again, honestly. I don't like the sound of that. I mean, the cold, I'm a big advocate for the cold. I know we were talking about before in a few other news broadcasts how I'm kind of rooting for the cold, rooting for the snow. Now that the cold is here, I'm like,
let's go back.
Yeah.
Now,
please.
the forecast tomorrow night, Anthony and I were talking about this yesterday. It's going to be cold for that Friday night football.
It is. It's definitely going to be cold. And, I mean, that's what you have to really expect later in November, actually in the middle of November now. But those are the temperatures that those are prime temperatures for Friday night football. You like to see that. Bring a jacket, bring a few blankets to the game. I know I always loved doing that when I was in high school. And, why not? It's that time of the year.
You gotta take too many layers out there.
It's fun. It's a part of it.
No, it's part of it. All right, we'll discuss this in the break. Coming up next, Stephen Ruffin will take us on a trip around the entertainment world and look at campus events. Stay tuned.
CUTV News Center is California University of Pennsylvania's award-winning student television newscast, your source for live, local, late-breaking news. Forecasts from the Cal U Weather Center, the region's latest entertainment news, Vulcan sports highlights and regional scoreboards, with television news coverage you can't get anywhere else. Watch it live Thursdays on CUTV and on demand. CUTV News Center, online all the time.
Welcome back to CUTV News Center. I'm Stephen Ruffing with your entertainment report. Our campus radio
Hello,
station,
everyone.
WCAL, has a number of talented DJs. Our reporter, Zoe Webster, shows us who's on the dial this week.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to On the Dial. I'm Zoe Webster, and today I'm going to be interviewing Colin Kirkwood, who is our newest certified DJ. Hi, Colin. Well, thank you for joining us today. What is your DJ name, first off?
My DJ name is currently DJ Beardy McBeardface and or DJ Tree.
So, Colin, what shows do you have, and what do you like to play on them?
My own personal show is on Thursdays from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. It's called The Treehouse, and I play a lot of 80s rock on there. And then on Sundays, me along with 3 other of my friends, we have a locker room talk show where we talk about sports. It's a fun 2-hour-long talk show, and it's from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
And what's your favorite kind of artist other than what you play on your show?
I listen to a lot of rap music, and my favorite artist is probably Eminem.
How were you introduced to the station?
A lot of my friends down here in the media suite do things with the radio station, and they kept trying to tell me to do something with it, so I figured I'd take their advice, and now here I am.
That would probably have something to do with your major, which is?
Communication studies. I actually do public relations and radio and TV.
And obviously you haven't been here for very long, but so far, what would you say your favorite memory is?
I just think hanging out with my friends in the studio is a fun thing. It's a cool environment, and we just get to, have fun.
For CUTV News Center, this has been Zoe Webster on the dial.
Do you like jazz? If so, you're in luck because Underground Cafe's upcoming event will be a jazz night. Underground Cafe continues their run of special themes with a night filled with boogie woogie. Students will be able to get down with some ragtime bops and some jive blues. All students are welcome in the Natali Rotunda tonight from 9 p.m. to midnight. So tell your friends to slip on their dancing shoes for a relaxing night of smooth jazz. As we're getting closer to winter, that means the movie world will be better than ever. But that isn't the case for Warner Brothers and DC, as they have been trying to right the wrongs of previous movie disasters, such as Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad. They will be keeping an eye out for critic reviews on the upcoming Justice League film. Zack Snyder will return to direct Justice League after being ridiculed through past critic reviews. Zack Snyder and DC fans will be awaiting the first phase of reviews on Tuesday, November 14th at exactly 11:50 p.m. Justice League will hit theaters November 17th. In other superhero news, Thor Ragnarok hit theaters 5 days ago on November 3rd and has been lighting up the box office in the opening weekend. The latter movie of the Thor trilogy made $121 million, proving the narrative that Marvel has the upper hand on DC. Ragnarok outperformed the first and second parts of the film trilogy. Critics are saying that Thor Ragnarok will keep up the performance and will conclude the second weekend with over $600 million in the box office. And to round out entertainment for this week, we have Despicable Me 3 in the Vulcan Theater. The mischievous minions hope that Gru will return to a life of crime after the new boss of the Anti-Villain League fires him. Instead, Gru decides to remain retired and travel to Fredonia to meet his long-lost twin brother for the first time. The reunited siblings soon find themselves in an uneasy alliance to take down the elusive Balthazar Brat, a former 1980s child star who seeks revenge against the world. Some showtimes are 11 a.m., 7 p.m., and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 4, 7, and 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Danny, Ryan, great to join you guys on the set once again for our entertainment banner, but some big things, some strange things going on in Hollywood right now, but we're going to take a look at the lighter side of things. Stranger Things has been released, season 2. It's week 2 of being released, and I know, Ryan, you don't watch that.
Nope.
But Danny, you watched season 1 and season 2 being released. Waiting another year, a little less than a year, for season 3, just for 9 episodes. People aren't very happy about that.
Yeah, and a little disclaimer, I was supposed to watch it with Steve, and he actually watched it before we could even watch it together. So he watched it. I have yet to watch it.
I couldn't resist.
He couldn't resist, and I'm sure everybody else really doesn't blame me because it was such an anticipated show.
Now, I will say something I can actually add to this. To the fans that are so I lost my pop filter. To the fans that are so upset over the release being so far out, that's what happens with Doctor Who. That's one of my favorite shows, and that's something that happens in British television. They take a break between seasons and go and shoot something else.
And it's crazy because 9 episodes and the production that goes into them is absolutely insane. $6 to $8 million were spent per episode for season 2, and with more attention being brought to Stranger Things, you'd have to think that budget is going up, the production is getting more and more impressive, and just the things that they're doing for season 3, you'd have to think that the wait would have to be worth it.
Yeah, and these actors, these young actors, are getting so much attention in Hollywood and really across the world. And it's pretty cool to see. It definitely is.
And I know the older actors like Winona Ryder has said before how professional and how adult these kids are, and it's just great to see them in the future that they hold and the future that Stranger Things holds.
Well, thank you, Steve. And when we come back, Dylan Godet will be on the set for the Sports Report. Stay tuned.
Dylan, what's wrong, man? I just don't know how my family back home in Buchanan, West Virginia can watch our stuff up here.
They can follow us on Twitter, or they can like us on Facebook.
That's awesome. What about our sports? How can they watch that?
They could watch it live right on our YouTube channel.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
You're welcome.
For the first time in 31 years, live high school football all season long on CUTV Sports 1.
Welcome back to CUTV News Center. I'm Dylan Godet with your sports report. This past weekend, the California Vulcans football team took on Edinboro in a chance to keep their postseason hopes alive. Unfortunately, we were unable to get any highlights from this one, but we will, however, have a look at the scoreboard. And California was able to get a 30-13 win over Edinboro. Michael Keir threw for 222 yards. Bell rushed for 43 yards on the ground, and Luke Samori had 124 yards receiving. California will be traveling to East Stroudsburg this weekend. No CUTV there, as well as there will be a WCL coverage on that one. This past Friday, the California Vulcans volleyball team took on Shippensburg to start their final 2-game home stretch of the season. Let's head over to the Convocation Center to see how this one turns out. The first set of this one was intense right out of the gate, going back and forth from the start. The Vulcans' Rachel Priori gets the block to extend Cal's lead early. On into the first, with Vulcans trailing 25-24, Shippensburg's Courtney Mallett gives the Raiders a 1-0 set lead. Now into the second set, with the Vulcans up 24-9. California's Louis Van Schaik gets the kill to tie this one up at 1 set apiece. With a close set in the third, the Vulcans' Priori gets a big kill to extend California's lead to 2-1. On into the fourth set now. The Vulcans up big here to close this one out. Priori gets another huge block, this one winning the match for the Vulcans. California improves to 11-14 and 8-6 in the conference with this big conference win. California there, taking a look at the scoreboard, got a 3-1 win over Shippensburg. Huge win to close out their homestand. Priori had a big game as well, had her name mentioned a couple times in there, 11 kills and 4 blocks. Jensen Silbaugh led the team with digs with 20 herself. This past Sunday was another exciting NASCAR race. With the drama that was last week at Martinsville, could Texas bring the same intense racing? Let's head to Texas Motor Speedway for the highlights. It was a beautiful day for racing in Texas as this one is led to green by Denny Hamlin. He leads them into the first turn, but this thing gets exciting early as Kyle Busch runs up the track and gets into fellow playoff driver Brad Keselowski. It would take a while for both these guys to return to action, and Kevin Harvick ended up getting the first stage win in this one. On to the second stage though, as Kyle Larson picks up the win in the second stage. Not too long after, he gets around and gets into the outside wall, ending his day. You mentioned Kevin Harvick earlier, as he will take the lead here from Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. dominated the second half of this race, but Kevin Harvick passing Martin Truex there on the outside and takes this one home to get his first win here in the playoffs. And taking a look at the NASCAR standings, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick all punched their tickets to the last race. This one will come down to the last playoff spot, however, as this race, Phoenix, this Sunday will decide that final playoff spot. Now we're going to take a look at the upcoming schedules. It is basketball season here in California. Both men's and women's teams will be returning to action, but first, the football team travels to East Stroudsburg noon this Saturday. Again, WCAL will have the coverage of that one. The men's basketball team will be traveling to Glenville State College for the Glenville State Classic. CUTV will be there providing coverage of the Vulcans. The women's basketball team will be traveling to Notre Dame, Ohio for the MEC PSAC Challenge this weekend as well. Swimming doesn't have a matchup until next Friday. They will be in Cleveland for the Magnus Cup. Volleyball will be at IUP on Friday, and the women's cross country will be at NCAA Championships coming up in later November. And speaking of the women's cross country team, this week's Vulcan Hammer Award goes to women's cross country runner Julie Friend. After capturing both the league and regional titles this fall, Friend was named the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association Atlantic Region Athlete of the Year. Friend will be competing in the NCAA National Champions in Evansville, Ohio on November 18th. Congratulations, Julie, and you make us fellow Vulcans very proud. And Ryan and Danny, in the sports world, we had a big loss this week as Roy Halladay, the pitcher for the former pitcher of the Phillies, got in a tragic plane accident. Guys, I remember watching him when I was a kid.
Yeah, I definitely do, and I'm a Mets fan, so not the fondest memories of him demolishing the Mets. But yeah, I believe he was the same time period as Cliff Lee when he was on the Phillies as well. But yeah, it's very sad to see a very young athlete leave.
That was his own personal plane as well. He retired not too many years ago, and just a couple months after him retiring, he got his pilot's license there. So that's been his passion after baseball. So very cool for him to see. Another tidbit about him: he's actually one of the few, only 2 pitchers all time have had a no-hitter in the playoffs, and he had one back a couple years ago against the Reds. So one of the more dominating pitchers we've seen in our generation.
It's definitely sad to see.
I really don't know much about him. I don't really follow baseball or anything like that, but it's also sad that he leaves behind his family, his wife, and I believe 2 kids, I think.
Yeah, I believe. And his wife was so happy that he got the chance to get his pilot's license and go after that side of his life. So it's really sad to see, especially he's one of the good guys in baseball there. Never had really those allegations against him. He was a guy that always lived by the book, and it's sad to see his life end that way.
Without a doubt. Thank you, Dylan, and thank you so much for joining us tonight on Newscenter.
Be sure to check out our YouTube channel at CUTV Newscenter and our Twitter pages at CUTV_PA and at CUTV_Newscenter.
Don't forget that the Cal Times will be publishing a new edition of their paper in 1 week on campus. Also, tune in to WCAL 91.9 FM in your car or online at sai.calu.edu/WCAL.
Thanks for watching, and since we'll not see you again until after Thanksgiving, have a safe pilgrimage if you are traveling to visit family.